This QMR episode, Quick Mindset Reset, is about toxic people and transforming them from being toxic in your life to teachers. It can be so easy, especially in this culture, to point at other people as toxic. They're the problem. Because of them, this is why I am this way. They did this to me. They're toxic, right? And I definitely want to make a clear distinction. There might be people in your life that are like, abusive, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, right? There might be people in your life that have done horrendous things to you, right? And if you've listened to the podcast before, I've had so many incredible guests share about how they've turned their pain into purpose. Domestic violence, so many things, so many amazing guests I've had on this episode or on this show, different episodes. So I don't want to discount, this episode is not about just letting things slide and letting people that have done unkind things or things that have done you wrong, let's say, let them slide, right? But I do want you to listen to this and consider the real estate that they're taking up in your mind and in your heart when you call them toxic. And oh, they were toxic and they did this to me, right? And I spoke on this in a webinar series for my friend Veronica Kelly. She hosted this free event all about freedom, and she asked me to speak on it. And going into it, I didn't know what I was going to speak on. Like, I just figured that whatever it was I was supposed to speak on would just speak through me. And that's exactly what happened. When I popped on that webinar, there was a speaker before me. And one of the things that they were discussing, not the speaker before me, but one of the things that everybody in the room was starting to discuss was like toxic family members and how they were seeking freedom from, toxic people in their lives, in their family, in their relationships, etc. And I happened to tap in and, join the webinar right when they were talking about it. And it came to me. I was like, oh, I can talk about this, right? I can talk about change your words, change your world when it comes to toxic people, right? And I definitely was that person who was pointing the finger at everybody else. You're the problem. You're the toxic person. You did this to me because you did this to me. This is why I'm this way, right? And definitely spent a lot of years having that story on replay in my mind and heart, especially within my family. If you've been following me for a while, you know that there were some major issues within my family with my grandfather, him not approving of certain decisions I made in my life, him, just exploding. There's just been so many, even friendships, where I would consider them toxic, right? And I would say, I made a whole course on this. Maybe you guys remember a long time ago in 18, I made this 5-part course. It was called Positively Productive. And it was 5 short videos about how to be more positive and productive. And there was an episode in that 5-part series that I actually said, I was like, you need to get rid of the toxic people in your life, right? I call these people toxic. Like, I literally said that in the course because that's where I was at the time, right? That's where my heart was. That's where my thought process was. But honestly, when we can transform these toxic people in our lives to our teachers and figure out what lessons we could not have learned without them, that's where the true power lies, right? It's so easy to ruminate in what they did to you and what they said and the way that they treated you and how they gaslit you and blindsided you and treated you like this. And, that's easy, right? Like, we can have that tape on repeat and ruminate on that. But when we can really take a step back and figure out what lesson we were supposed to learn because of them, what lesson we couldn't have possibly learned without them, right? You can get so much appreciation and gratitude from from that, right? So much learning and growth outside of stagnance and stuckness and just being angry and upset about it. And the reason why I love the ability to change toxic people into teachers is because this is how we can connect with people on a deeper level, right? Yes, we can connect with people and talk shit about all the toxic people in our lives, but imagine the next level connections we get to have when we can not only share the toxic thing that happened, but how we were able to alchemize that and to be our biggest teacher. And now what we're doing moving forward, right? Like that type of cohesion within connection with others is so much more profound, so much more powerful. When we ruminate in toxicity, that's group chats where we're talking shit about people. That's connecting with people over negative things, right? You have any of those friends where it's like, they don't really want to talk or connect if there's not something going wrong or, whatever in your life, right? That's how we bond over toxicity. But when we bond over the way that that has become a teacher in our lives, that's magic, right? That's why I really feel a lot of times people will tell me like, oh, you make friends so easily. You just go into places by yourself and you just go alone and